Feels good to be back. Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APWSPORTS signing in, and welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bears Weekly. This is Season 4, Episode 5 of Chicago Bears Weekly. And in today's episode, the Bears had the number 9 overall pick with the trade with the Carolina Panthers from them to move back from number 1. And today's episode, of course, we're going to touch on maybe some Bears news and Bears signing. The bulk of this episode is going to be talking about what prospects could be had at the Bears' number 9 overall pick. Number 1, does it fit a need? Number 2, does this player going to help the Bears succeed? Where are they going to draft at? All that is going to be talked about in today's episode with the Bears holding the number 9 overall pick. But before I get into any of that, make sure you guys leave this video a like as it continues to help this channel to grow and it beats the algorithm. And if you are one of the people that are watching this episode and you are not subscribed, make sure you click the sub button down below and the notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post on this channel. But it is time to head into another episode of Chicago Bears Weekly. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Have been a little bit quiet in free agency, but they did ink a contract with another former Tennessee Titans, and that is linebacker Dylan Cole. That is the third linebacker that the Chicago Bears have signed this offseason, and he is going to be more of that special teams ace type of guy, similar to what they brought Travis Homer in from Seattle, and to be is a guy that can compete on special teams and make that just so much better, because at the end of the day, while the special teams are not out there as much as offense and defense, the impact the special teams have on the game is so tremendous. And as like I said before, us as Bear fans, we know what Devin Hester brought. Even though Devin Hester was just an anomaly, he was a thing of his own. It's just special teams plays a big pivotal part, whether it's field position, whether it's returns, kick return, punt return, field goal, it changes the game. And Dylan Cole is going to be a guy that can help solidify the Bears special teams unit to make them be a better football team in 2023. Now, starting off with the bulk of this episode is already about the guys that the Bears have potential to draft. Now, there are 2 guys that the Bears have potential to draft, but I don't think one guy is going to be there, and one guy doesn't make any sense. And I'm first going to go with the one guy that I don't think will be there, and that is Tyree Wilson, edge rusher from Texas Tech. Now, he is a guy that he fits a need of the Bears because the Bears were one of the worst, if not the worst, sack team in the NFL last season. And we all seen that defensive line for the Bears can be bad. And Tyree Wilson is a guy that can come in, give some edge rush, and he plays the run very well with me looking at his tape. He plays the run well as well. And on top of that, he can get after the quarterback. Now, I don't think he will be there for the Bears, as teams probably like Seattle, teams probably like Detroit, could be possibly looking to select the guy to help with their edge rush. Now, I think it's more likely that Seattle can get him because I think Seattle's going to need more help with their pass rush. But ultimately, he will be a guy that can fit in perfectly, as Will Anderson Jr. would have been perfect if the Bears were to stay at number 1, or they would have traded to number 4. But since the Bears traded to number 9, Will Anderson is probably going to be gone. And I personally do not believe Tyree Wilson is going to last on the board long enough for the Chicago Bears to select him at 9, even though he is going to fit a need of what this Bears roster needs, because they need edge rushing at so many levels. Is crazy. But I just don't think a guy with his skill set is going to last long enough at 9 for the Bears to select him. But if they do select him, that'll be a big boost, in my opinion, over what they've had in their pass rushing game the last season. And on top of that, Tyree Wilson could drop because he's coming off of a foot injury that caused him to miss the latter half of the 2022 college football season with Texas Tech. It could be a possibility that teams may be scared of the health issues. It could be scared of the foot recovery, because this draft process is one thing that I think is over-evaluated to begin with. So he could possibly slip to 9, but I personally don't believe he will. Now, I'm going to touch on a player that it doesn't make any sense for the Bears to take, and that's running back Bijan Robinson from Texas. Now, Bijan Robinson is a very dynamic back. He can come in and be very productive from day one with the Bears, but I don't think it will be making so much sense to draft a running back when on top of that you have Khalil Herbert. You just signed Deontay Foreman. You got Travis Homer. You got the guy like Darrington Evans. You got Ebner. So even though Robinson can come in and be a very productive back, it's just so many other holes on this Chicago Bears roster that they need to fix. Bringing in a guy like Bijan Robinson wouldn't make an ounce of sense when you have tackle help you need, when you have edge rushing help you need. You could possibly even say wide receiver help you need. Despite the trade for DJ Moore, you could possibly still say the Bears could have a need at the wide receiver position, but I just don't think drafting a running back this high is going to help the Bears, but only so much when you have so many issues still on your offensive line and your defensive line. And I think the game of football is won in the trenches. So if you're going to think of winning in this league, you have to win up front, point blank, period, in my opinion. And I think drafting a guy like Bijan Robinson will ultimately put a little bit of a dent in what the Bears actually need. They wouldn't help it at all. So Bijan Robinson would just not make any sense for the Bears to draft at number 9. Now, one guy that could possibly fall to the Bears at number 9, and that is defensive tackle Jalen Carter from the University of Georgia. Now, it's still allowed to be played out with the reckless driving situation that ended up killing 2 people at the University of Georgia. Now, he is a top talent. Jalen Carter is a top talent. He could be productive, especially in the running game. Even though his sack numbers at the University of Georgia don't look great, with him only having 3 sacks in 2021 and 3 sacks in 2022. He had 37 tackles total in 2021 and 32 tackles total in 2022. But he started the wreck more habit in 2022, and he had 2 forced fumbles. He is a guy that is very strong. He is a guy that could be a very good defensive tackle in this 4-3 scheme that the Bears are now running. But I will personally say this. I think the hang up with Jalen Carter is, to me, I think is fatigue issues. Because I personally watched the game between Georgia and Ohio State for the college football playoff national semifinal. Even though Jalen Carter was a very productive player, he had some dominant moments and he made his presence known. At least to me, in my opinion, watching that game in total, it just really felt like Jalen Carter was off of the field more than he was on the football field. Even though he is very, very dominant and very, very productive at Georgia when he was on the football field, it just feels like the fatigue issue could be an issue, in my opinion. And to spend the number 9 overall pick on a guy that I personally believe would have a fatigue issue, I don't think that would be the best thing. Now, of course, that can all change at the NFL level, where he gets his conditioning together, he gets his diet together, he gets to take care of his body better with all the access that he would have, especially being in the NFL versus being in college. But that is something that could potentially scare maybe teams away from him outside of the off the field thing. Jalen Carter could be a very productive player in this 4-3 defense, and it fills a need because the Bears, let's just face it, they were bad at the front 4 last season, and Jalen Carter could come fit right in and have a role within this Bears defensive front. He's very strong. Like I said, he can really change a game up the middle, and quarterbacks don't like pressure up the middle. So if you can get a guy like Jalen Carter to maybe bull rush or have some things up the middle that can create havoc for quarterbacks, he could be a game changer for this defense. To add on top of TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, who they signed in free agency, getting Eddie Jaxon back, along with Brisker, Gordon, Jalen Johnson, and Sanborn, Jalen Carter can fit in and play a significant role on this Matt Eberflus defense. Another guy that could potentially be at that number 9 spot is wide receiver Jaxon Smith-Njigba from the Ohio State University. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm a diehard Ohio State fan, and of course I'm going to be a little bit biased towards this pick. I would love to see Jaxon Smith-Njigba to be paired back with Justin Fields with their 2020 Ohio State season, even though just Smith-Njigba wasn't really that productive in 2020. He can get back to Fields. Now, Fields and Njigba, I think, will work very well at the NFL level. Njigba is 6'1". He runs a 4.48. He ran a 4.48 at Ohio State's Pro Day. Looking at this 2021 season, he had 95 receptions for 1,606 yards and 9 TDs on the wide receiving core that had 2 first-rounders and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. And Jaxon Smith-Njigba had the best total season out of the 3 wide receivers. Now, of course, he missed most of 2022 due to a hamstring injury, which only seen him with 5 catches for 43 yards. But when Jaxon Smith-Njigba is healthy, he is a very good route runner. He is a guy that he doesn't have that necessarily breakaway speed, but in the NFL, if you can get yourself open, that speed will show. And Jaxon Smith-Njigba is a guy that can get himself open in the NFL, and I believe he could be very productive along with more Mooney, Claypool, and Kmet in this Bears offense to help boost that passing game that was ranked dead last in 2022. Now, the only thing I can say that will be against this pick of Jaxon Smith-Njigba is that you do not address the offensive line. And this is where I think these 2 prominent players could be the best guys for the Bears to draft at that number 9 overall slot. And the first guy is going to be tackle from Northwestern. That's going to be Peter Skoronski. Now, Skoronski is a guy who's very physical up front. He's played that left tackle spot for the Northwestern Wildcats, so he is a guy that he can be, I think he's more versatile. He can be moved around a little bit. He is a very strong football player. And I also think he is a guy that can come in and really, really boost this Bears offensive line. Now, he's going to be 6'4", 313 pounds with a 32.5 inch arms with a 10 hands. So he has a little bit bigger hands. He is a guy that is very good in pass protection. He is also going to be a guy that can come in and help boost this offensive line, which outside of the defensive line, I think is the biggest need that the Chicago Bears are going to have. And another guy, I'm going to be biased to him, and it's going to be Paris Johnson Jr., also from the Ohio State University. Now, of course, I've already said it, guys. I'm going to be biased towards Paris Johnson Jr. 6'6", 6'7", 36.1 inch arms, 9.5 hands, weighing in at 313 pounds. So he is very physical. He can do things not only in the passing game, but in the running game as well. And he fits absolutely at that right tackle spot for the Chicago Bears and their offensive line. Me personally, if I had to pick between any of the guys, Paris Johnson Jr. would be the guy that I personally would want the Bears to select at number 9. And it's not just because of my biasness towards Ohio State. I believe he can come in and be a very strong physical presence up front. He did 29 reps in the bench press, and he has longer arms, so he can extend those hands when he's pass blocking. He can extend those hands when he's run blocking, and he is a very, very strong physical presence. And he brings, I've seen it at Ohio State. So he brings a physical presence. He's going to be a guy that has some toughness, and you're going to need that with this Bears offensive line. They're still going to make some changes. And one change you can make is bring Paris Johnson Jr. in and solidify that right tackle spot with Braxton Jones at left tackle. So my personal pick will be Paris Johnson Jr. for the Bears to select at number 9 overall. But those are just my thoughts on the prospects of what the Bears can do at number 9. Leave this video a like. Comment you guys' thoughts below. What do you think the Bears should do with their number 9 overall pick? And as always,
Click the sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.